Welcome to the Game of Life podcast, where we bring you inspiring softball stories, insightful tips from coaches and players, and explore how the game transcends its boundaries to become a metaphor for life. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, a casual fan, or someone just looking for inspiration, you're in for a treat. We'll unravel the tales that go beyond the scoreboard. Discover how perseverance and hard work on the field translates into resilience in your daily challenges. Learn about teamwork, leadership, and the unwavering spirit that fuels success, not just in sports, but in the game of life. Hey, here we are back. This is a special night because we have the brains of the Richmond family on tonight. Hi, Stacy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. We wanted to bring, we have our camp in 9-10 days, and we've always wanted to bring Stacy / my wife / Allie's mom on. You were a school counselor forever. You were a travel mom. You were the rock to our family when we went through the whole process. So we just want to get some insight on what kids in grades 7 through 12, I mean, probably not 12, that's too late, but what kids do in high school when they're thinking about playing college sports. So first off, just tell us about yourself and your journey quick, and then we'll get with the questions.
Yeah, I've been a school counselor for almost 29 years, with grade 7 through 12, and throughout those years, I've assisted a lot of kids who thought they wanted to play college sports. Right starting in ninth grade, we started with a worksheet that we looked at to make sure that they had all the required classes that they needed to be able to play Division One or Division Two. A lot of people think that it's just the skill that you need to play at that level, but if you don't have the academic requirements met through the NCAA, you cannot play. So it's really, really important to be on top of it. And it's okay if you don't know in ninth grade, even if you want to play or what division, that's okay. But I just get the paper out assuming everyone wants to play D1. So they're all covered. And then we look at the other divisions as well, just so they're on the right track. So if things are headed toward Division 1 or Division 2, they don't have stress their junior, senior year, not having the required classes.
That
Awesome. That
that's
makes sense.
that's so do the students usually come to you, or do you know that they're playing sports and want to? How's that whole process start?
I'm so glad you asked that question because the school counselor doesn't necessarily know that your child wants to play a college sport. Now, I met with my children every year, my students. We talked about their course selection, we talked about their future planning, but things can change. So, if your child is even thinking about playing a college sport, you should be having the conversation with your school counselor and have that checklist with the approved core courses for your high school to make sure that you are looking at that when you do your child's schedule every year. And honestly, it is your responsibility. It's the parent and the student's responsibility to make sure that those courses are taken. A lot of school counselors don't have training in the NCAA requirements. Um, so it's really, really important for you as parents and players to be on top of what's needed.
Quick question for me. What advice would you give maybe younger kids, so like ninth, 10th grade, who think they might want to play in college but aren't really sure? Should they still go through all this early on? Because I think that's something I hear often too, is some girls aren't sure, so they wait to do some of these things. And then by the time, they get to junior year, it becomes a little more difficult. So kind of already know the answer, but I
Yeah.
wanna hear from you too on
No, I love
kind of what
that.
you're
I love that question. And even there's eighth graders now that take high school courses, so they get credit. Like we had a lot of students take Algebra 1 in eighth grade and get a high school credit. That counted for our school. So it even started in eighth grade for some of the students. So absolutely, it's not a lot to do. It's basically, you talk to your counselor and say, here's our paper that we're going to look at every year before signing up for the courses. And then just make sure that those courses are taken. And for Division 1, you have to have a 2.3 GPA, Division 2 a 2.2. in those classes. Um, Luckily, I shouldn't say luckily, but there has been a change because when Allie and Jenna played, the SAT or ACT had to be taken, and that score was weighted in to the requirements too. It was on a sliding scale. If you remember, Allie, it's like the higher your GPA, the lower that standardized test score could be. The standardized test scores are no longer needed for NCAA, but that doesn't mean students shouldn't take them because a lot of times your colleges might require you to take them. But absolutely, that should be a conversation with your school counselor at the very, very beginning of ninth grade before choosing your courses.
How important when you're meeting with kids, how important is the fit? Like everybody has their dream schools, everybody thinks they want to play, everybody wants to go to A, B, or C. How important is researching this school actually? And again, I kind of know the answer. I just want your take on it.
Yeah, it's so important. And honestly, as a school counselor, I had 610 kids, 7 through 12 when I first started, or no, 620 it was. Um, and I may not know their football ability, or I may not know their lacrosse ability. So we talk about just I meet with parents and students to talk about what those NCAA academic requirements are and the importance of talking with their coach. So their coaches can be advocates for them to speak with the college coaches and to really never turn down an opportunity. Don't, even if your goal is to play Division 1 or Division 2, if a community college reaches out to you, always listen to what they have to say, because I had a coach tell me one time, you know, "Do you think that somebody that played at our community college is upset they didn't go D1 and we won a national championship?" And I'm like, "No, that's awesome."
Mhm.
So, I really think it's important to take every opportunity, and realize too that it's competitive. So you might be the best in your area, but we're talking about the whole nation and some international students. So, don't get down on yourself if your dream school already has enough people for your graduating year. Always have other options. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's why I remember, Allie, we would email 40 schools,
Mhm.
and you would have that written down in a notebook. And we would say, like, did they email back or did I email them back? And we never thought that we were better than a school. I think that's a big mistake, that people think that, oh, this is just some community college. A lot of colleges have amazing, amazing programs, and kids get so much out of them. And some of the local kids that have gone to our community college have ended up transferring and playing at some of the most amazing schools at Division 1 or Division 2 level, some Division 3. So it really has to be a right fit for you, not an expectation of parents or what adults say they think you should do. It always drove me nuts when travel dads, I should say maybe moms too, but more dads, like, "Ellie, you will never be a first baseman. Oh, you will never play second base in college. Oh my gosh, you will always be a catcher. You will always do this." And I'm thinking, how do you know? You don't know the coach. You don't know how she's going to grow. How do you know what my child is going to play? Because the sky's the limit when you work hard and you communicate. Um, and your academics are so important at college. If you're Yeah, you might meet the eligibility requirements of a 2.3 GPA for Division 1, but are you going to be able to handle it academically when you're missing a ton of classes to travel out of town? So those grades are extremely important. And those grades and GPA start in ninth grade. And like I said before, some in eighth grade.
Yeah. I guess going off of that too, how have you seen comparison play a role in like the students you've worked with? I think when it comes to recruiting, a lot of people start to compare themselves to the speed that other people are getting recruited, or, oh, so and so went here, so maybe I should go there. Like, I'm just curious how that comes up in conversation with the students that you've worked with, either academically or athletically.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so, sometimes it's parent pressure. It's like, "Oh, you have to go D1, you have to go D1, you have to go D1," because then as a mom, I can brag about that, and
Yeah.
that's something dad and I were really adamant about in talking to you and Jenna, that, like, if you don't wanna play softball anymore, that's okay. If whatever division, I remember going to, what was it, a D3 school in Connecticut? D2?
Hmm. Hmm.
T2,
I love when we went to that visit, I
we
was
loved it.
sold on that. Like, that college was unbelievable, and I just remember the coach just taking you in like family. She can come over for Thanksgiving. If she's sick, She calls me in the middle of the night and I'll take her to urgent care. And I'm like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, this is amazing as a mother, like to see that a coach is that caring. And I don't think it was fake. It was really authentic.
Yeah.
And I will always remember that visit. So it really has to be what is good for you. And I think too, like any parents listening, make sure you're having conversations with your kids about what they want or what they can handle. Because mental health in sports is something that I really, really get concerned about because sometimes these athletes have pressure from parents. Oh my gosh, you didn't play. What are you doing wrong? Or oh my gosh, why didn't you get in the game? Or wow, you struck out. You're terrible. You're not going to go out to dinner with anybody tonight. We're just going to go home and talk about how bad you played.
Yeah.
Um, like the mental health on your children by speaking to them or identifying them or loving them of how they played in a game for one day can have some profound effects on their mental health. And especially when they're away at college, you already have new stressors, right? So college is already a lot for kids when they go in freshman year. So you add a sport to that, that can be really, really difficult. So I think as parents, like I think it's important to just be supportive and talk to your child and ask how they feel rather than telling them what they should be doing.
I'm giggling because we've heard all of those scenarios. And looking back, it seems so normal at the time, but it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, those aren't made up scenarios. Those are things we've actually heard, unfortunately. But yeah, Mom, I'm curious too. I know you kind of went into some of them, but I think it'd be helpful for people listening. Maybe what are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen families or kids make as they go through this process? That, looking back, maybe they said, oh, I wish I would have done that differently, or just things you've heard in that regard.
I love that question. And I can think of one in particular where a student waited till senior year and said, oh my gosh, I went to visit the school and they realized I'm really good at football and I can play Division 2 now. And they didn't do anything to prepare for the academic requirements. And they were missing a class. And it's tough as a counselor. It breaks my heart. But every year in the course handbook, I would put, if you're even thinking, and I would go over it with the whole class and put it in the book that went home to the parents. If you're even thinking of playing a sport in college, please talk to me. Please review what the requirements are. Because if you wait until 11th or 12th grade, it could be too late or you could be missing some classes. I had another student who he was a bright kid, but kind of fooled around in ninth and 10th grade, and his GPA was, like, so borderline. We were waiting on one class. I had a Division 1 coach's cell phone number where we were talking. He's like, "What's his GPA now? What's his GPA now?" When it was changing for the marking periods, and for a kid to be in that position is horrible, and I felt so bad for him, and it's like, if he and again, in ninth grade, he didn't know that was gonna be an opportunity for him, and you're ninth grade, right? So if for some reason, I guess, you get to that senior year and you have an opportunity and you just for some reason, you're missing a couple classes, you always can go to take a semester of classes somewhere. There's other options of things you can do. And then if there's room available, you might be able to go play. Like that could be a discussion that you have with a coach. But a lot of the coaches are also going to say, what's going to change in your work ethic to raise that GPA because you're struggling in high school? College is going to be a lot tougher and you're just meeting the minimum in
Yeah,
high
I think
school.
that's a good reminder too, because I think, at least from my experience in ninth grade, you feel like graduation is so far away, but your transcript follows you forever. I mean, not forever, but like through your college years starting in ninth grade. And I think some people turn it on, so to speak, when they decide sophomore or junior year that they want to play in college. But to your point, it's a good reminder that your freshman year transcript is really important too.
And I think as a parent, how many times I look at our family, okay, what team are we going to be on? Where are we going to travel to? Okay, you're going to go to hitting lessons. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Well, as parents, if that's what you're focusing on and you don't even mention anything, what homework do you have tonight? How are you doing in this class? If you're not giving equal attention or more attention to the academics, that could be a problem because your child keep continuing to get better and better and maybe have opportunities at the college level. And again, any college level, to play at any college level is special. I don't care what division it is, it's special. And if we don't focus in our conversations and talking with our kids about academics, I think that is a huge mistake as parents. Huge. And also, like, just think, if you're struggling hitting, what do? You go pay for a private hitting lesson. If you're struggling pitching, what do we do? Oh, we'll get an extra pitching lesson. What do we do? Each week we're going to go to pitching lessons so you can get better. If you're struggling with science, are we going to get you a tutor? Are you going to go in for extra help?
Mhm.
um, you know, get your kids in the habit of going to ask for that extra help, and don't just settle for mediocre or for the minimal grade that's accepted. Aim for the best, because work ethic carries over all facets of your life. It's hard to turn it on in one area and turn it off in the other. If you can
You
keep
you
that
you made you
goal.
made you made some great points with all those. We're gonna get help. We're gonna get help. What happens when an athlete is struggling mentally with their health? There's there the parents don't race out and say, "Hey, we're gonna go get you a coach for that." It's like, you're tough. You'll get through it. You're tough. Battle through it. And I think sometimes that's what gets lost when they go to the next level, because all of a sudden that probably might be the most important thing that ties everything
Yeah.
else together. Allie?
That's a good oh,
Oh,
is it okay if I say that's a
yeah,
really
yeah,
good
yeah. No,
point.
go ahead.
And I was
Please.
just gonna say, like, when you go to your college orientation, and you're finding out about all the resources that are there, find out where that counseling office is. And I would always recommend to everybody, make your first appointment right when you get on campus. I don't care if you're an athlete or not, make that first appointment so you know where that office is, you know how an appointment's made. You can talk to them, find out what resources they have there. Sometimes it's individual counseling, sometimes it's just like group yoga or mindful meditation. Um, there's so many resources at colleges, and I feel like that we need to figure out, like, where you can make that appointment. I would recommend that for every child going to college. Find that office and make your first appointment, because if you wait until you're really stressed, sometimes you can't get in for 5 weeks.
Well, and too, I feel like it's the difference between being proactive versus reactive. Like, you don't wait in softball till you're struggling to go practice. You practice all the time. So, I think it's similar with your mental health. And to your point, like, sometimes you have to wait 5 weeks, but also if you are struggling or going through something, you're already going to have a relationship with this person that you've talked to once or twice before. So, it's not going to be like you're sharing these things you're struggling with the stranger at that point, too. You've already created that relationship with somebody.
And I think too, if you go to like a yoga classes, if you're somebody who enjoys being with other people to work on things, there you also then have a support system of that group of people going.
Here's the most exciting part about this conversation is when we have our camp next week. Stacy's gonna be at the camp. She's a she's an integral part of, what we're gonna go through, talking about NCAA, recruiting, mental health. We've got the skills, we've got the finances, we got the tools to set up to live your best life, and now we have the mental health aspect of it. So, I don't mean to put you on a pedestal, Stacy, but, we're excited that you're gonna be joining us.
Well, I'm just excited because it's stressful as a parent. I mean, it was like learn by fire for us. So I am so
Yeah.
happy to help any parent out
Ooh.
there. I love when kids come to me. I mean, we have friends call us, relatives, kids, call at night. What do we do? And I'm always happy to help anybody because it's overwhelming and it really doesn't have to be. It
And you got to
really
do it
doesn't have to be at
twice.
all.
Yeah. You
What'd you
got to do
say?
it twice. You got to do it twice. Double the fun.
I know, twice. I know. If we had 5 kids, I would have been a lot more prepared.
Yeah.
Now, and it's crazy because we didn't know, but one thing we did know is that wasn't going to be the only path our daughters took. Like it was a path they wanted, so it was a path we explored and we found the resources. But it wasn't going to be the end all, because now that all that's over, how are they living their best life, right? And I feel, I mean, we could ask Jen and Allie. Jen is not here tonight. I feel we gave them the tools to move forward. And to me, that's what I'm most proud about.
Well, I think too, like, once you find out what opportunities your college has there, work toward being a part of them. It doesn't mean you have to join everything, but there's so many clubs, so many things you can do to step outside your comfort zone. And if you're an athlete, I think one of the proudest things that I can say for Jen and Allie were that they joined groups where athletes weren't involved. So they were making friends that didn't play sports, and that's okay too. They were so close with the athletic community at their schools, but it was really neat to just get to know international students and other students in their classes. And maybe you're on a rowing team and you're not really sure if you want to do it. This is what I've heard from kids too. I don't know. But I'm like, well, just talk to the coach and find out about it. Oh, I like I don't know, volunteerism. Well, see if your college has any of those. It doesn't mean you have to do it, but I always tell kids when you're making a big decision, put everything on the table. Find out all the information, whether that's choosing a school or joining something. And some kids, they're like, maybe I want to play club. Some kids have gone to some of the bigger schools and played club sports, and it's real. It's awesome. I mean, they compete, and a club sport at college is really, really cool too. So even if you're thinking, well, I play softball, I don't really know if I want to be on a softball team, or I don't know if I want to be that committed to really, going and traveling all summer and doing all this. Well, if they have a club team, that might be something where you can still keep being a part of something you enjoy, but it's not as much of a commitment.
Yeah. So I guess maybe one final question, and you might be a biased person to ask this, so I want your honest opinion. But what do you feel like, or how could kids benefit, do you feel like, from the Game of Life camp? I guess, what are maybe some reasons kids or families should think about signing up for next week?
I love the idea of this camp when you and dad started telling me about it because, you guys went to a lot of amazing camps, right? You had great skills you learned, you got advice from coaches, but it was all athletic based information, which that's a lot of what camps are. So I'm not saying that that shouldn't be, right? You want all that stuff, but if you don't have the other things as a whole picture, it's gonna be tough to succeed at a higher level, right? You've gotta talk about mental health. If you don't have the grades, if you didn't take the correct classes and you don't have the grades, you could be the athlete of the year, you could be the best person in New York State, but you cannot play if you don't meet those NCAA requirements. And with that being said, if you go to community college, Division III, they have their own requirements, right? So it's not like you have to go through the NCAA. But the best thing that you can do is just look at the whole picture, the whole person, because when you look at your identity, I know you guys have talked about this before, you're not just a softball player, right? You're so much more than that. And the skills that you learn from softball, from the other things that you do, helps lead you in life, right? It helps you to get where you want to go in life. So I feel like this camp has so many facets of life that's discussed, and it will help people find out about themselves um, without not just skill level, but help them learn more about themselves and learn more about what they need to do to prepare if they do want to play at college.
Awesome. Well, that's
Allie,
appreciated.
final thoughts?
This was great. I think, if you're interested in learning more, the camp is a great place to do that. But we really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge. You definitely are very experienced in this area, and it definitely it can be a confusing process, especially for families going through it for the first time. So I think if you're listening out there and you take one thing away from today, like, go talk to your counselor, because you don't want to wait for them to talk to you, because some of them may not be fully in the know on a lot of this stuff. So I think just take initiative when it comes to, well, if you want to play at the college level, remember the academics are the priority. And I think that gets lost sometimes too. So
And I
those are
just
my
wanted to
thoughts.
add to that sometimes like the counselors may not be well versed in it. And again, it's not a fault of theirs. They just may have not gotten the training or know, where to start, right? Like it helped me because I had my kids go through it too. So if your counselor is not really comfortable with knowing all the things that you need for your checklist, that counselor can reach out to the compliance office at the college too, and the coach, and you can do that as a student and a parent too, and come back and say, here's what classes we need to take, right? Because all of the eligible classes that you need are on your website. Like there's a school code number for Sense High School where you went to high school, and it tells all the courses that are accepted by the NCAA. So your school has that done. So it's just a matter of looking at the courses and putting it in the correct area of the checklist. that anybody can do. We did that ourselves. Your counselor was helpful as well, just kind of double checking with you guys. Um, but again, it's not the counselor's job to get you into college to play a sport. That's your job, right? So they can be a really huge support, I guess I would say. But and they will be able to find out like where you need to go to get the information, and they'll have those core courses that you need. But again, they're not the college NCAA compliance office, so we can't expect school counselors to hold that role.
Yeah, I'll end with this. It's your journey as a student athlete. So you wanna ask your counselor, you wanna ask your coaches, you wanna ask your parents, you wanna advocate, and you wanna look up stuff online. You need to use all the resources available to you. And at the end of the day, it's not one person. It's a mesh of everybody, but as a student athlete, you have to be the leader through it all. So, uh, that's what we think makes our camp a little different, and that's what we're excited about. And again, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. See you. Bye.